Hey everybody, it's Captain Kyle, and today I have a cat, but I also have the Terrorcon gift set, Abominus! We're gonna go through this. Now, it looks like a great reissue, or it could actually be original, because the box isn't in that great a shape, but it's a counterfeit, a knockoff, as I've been going through on this channel for a while now. So we're gonna go through this. We're gonna go through each individual character, examine them in both robot and monster mode, and see if they're cool and if the quality's up there. Be right back. So normally, other ones that I've gotten of this type of knockoff have come in pristine boxes. This one, the box is a little beat up, which, in my estimation, if I wanted to be a villain, I could take this box, which is still kind of shiny, but I could fool someone into thinking maybe it was original. Not that I would do that. But the box, as you can see, still pretty good, but it's got some damage on the corners. You know, it looks like it's been through a rough time. And of course, it's got all the tech specs on the back. It's got the Metroplex and Predacons lying around from Series 3. So Terrorcons and the Technobots came out. They are technically Series 4, but they came out very close to the end of Series 3, so a lot of the artwork was the same. But the box is very convincing, but we're concerned with what's inside. So let's get this open. There we go. So, as you can see, we've got all the Terrorcons. We've got Hun-Grr, we've got Blot, we've got Cutthroat, Sinnertwin, and Rippersnapper. And again, the styrofoam is leaving bits on my table, but styrofoam looks pretty genuine. Let's get these guys out. Do have holes underneath to help, but I think most of them I can wiggle out without poking it from the rear. That didn't sound right. And of course, there's all the accessories. Fist that doesn't want to come out. Now there it went. All the individual weapons. Whoops. Tried to get away. We've got Hun-Grr / Abominus' gun, shield, chest shield, of all feet. And we'll put this very carefully over there. Styrofoam bits. Not fun. Now I have to adjust the beast modes of some of them because they were in the packaging and squished a little. But there you have them. Terrorcons, all their weapons, and of course instructions and sticker sheets. Now, as I usually do, I took these out of the package to put the stickers on, make them look good for you. Didn't want them to feel naked. So we'll put that over there. I don't really need the instructions. I've had these before, and I can knock them over just as well as anybody. So we'll put the little guys aside, and we'll start off with Hun-Grr. Yes, the Transformer named after that song in Transformers the movie. Now right away, I can tell his limbs feel a little loose compared to the original. And I'm still finding styrofoam. Not horribly so. What's interesting about him is he is a double-headed monster. You can bend his heads in various directions. Now his mouths don't open, but he is supposed to be able to chomp just about anything, eat it, and then spit it out as crude missiles at his enemies, which, you know, I guess that helps with ammo problems. In fact, he can chew up his enemies and then spit those enemies at other enemies. A little gross. As far as Poseability, he's got these front legs that do move a little bit, and they also go underneath, but that's part of the transformation, so they're not supposed to do that. His heads can move around quite a bit, so he can be looking in more than one direction. The rear legs, you can move them a little bit, and they do have a knee style joint. Now, if you notice, there is the rub sign here. As I've said in other videos, this is a clear sign that it is a counterfeit, because they don't have the rub signs on them. They also don't have the factory stickers, which were included, so I was able to put those on. I just had to look at some references online. He's got a tail that doesn't move, at least not outside of the transformation process. But he is a cool double-headed monster. Now, unlike the majority of the main guys for pretty much all the combiner groups previous to Computron and Abominus, he does not have a base mode. He doesn't have a ramp, he doesn't turn into anything that's supposed to be a base. So you don't have to worry about that. We'll just go right to robot mode. Now, combiners after this weren't a ton. There was Piranacon and there was Monstructor. He did not have base modes for the main guys. In fact, Monstructor was made out of 6 and wasn't really a main guy. They were all approximately the same size. But let's check out Hun-Grr in his robot mode. Now, one of the neat things about Hun-Grr is he can use the shield, the big chest shield of Abominus, as a shield for everyday combat. So as you can see, he's a pretty solid robot. I like the fact that a lot of the monster parts, the tail and the feet, slide behind. So he's a pretty decent robot without a lot of kibble visible from the front. Poseability, he does have elbows, so elbows are nice. And he can move at the shoulder, so he can pretty much raise his gun, aim it. Now, as I mentioned, it is a little loose, so that's not a happy thing. There are ways you can stiffen it up, maybe use a little, there's this stuff called magician's wax you can put in there. There's other type of tacky things that you can use. And there is a screw, possibly tightening it a little bit might actually help. But his arms can not move side to side. He can't hug anybody. Not that he really is a big hugger, at least not according to his tech spec. Head can turn. That is actually also part of the transformation, so. And he can, yes, he can do a full Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, he can't do it toes up. Actually, I'm sorry, you can. You can do a toes up Jean-Claude Van Damme, which means he's got an amazing amount of poseability in his legs for what is a G1 transformer. So he can do front kicks, he can do side kicks, he can do kind of roundhouse kicks. Now, because of the joint in his hip, can't easily really go out here and then to the front. It's blocked. He'd have to like spin. Kind of like a ballerina. Like I said, his left knee seems a little stiff. I can relate getting up there. And despite the fact that he's not one of the newer Transformers, he does have some poseability that, okay, you gotta kind of hold him. He's not exactly stable when you put his legs like that, but still, a lot of poseability in the lower part. He does not turn at the waist. There's no joint there, there's no reason for it, transformationally wise, so overall, a solid robot. You can see on the back there, his front monster legs go into the back and his tail comes down here. So a little looseness in the joints, but overall, the knockoff's pretty good. If you found an actual original Hun-Grr, might not be in as good a shape and it might have even looser joints. All right, his little buddy, Sinnertwin. So Sinnertwin is an interesting name. I guess he sins twice as much as everyone else. He's got two heads. He's another two-headed monster, but he also has two tails, so he has twice as much tail. Little styrofoam. Now, the heads are not movable at all in this mode. I mean, you can kind of move them up, but it's revealing the head underneath, so that's not really ideal. But you can move the arms back and forth. You can move the front legs and the back legs. You can kind of move them back and forth. For some reason, his left rear leg is a little stiff too. The tail, you can kind of wiggle up and down. Not really supposed to, I think, be part of his beast abilities, but you know, if you wanted to pretend he was using it as a catapult, that might work. Now, like a lot of the Combiner small vehicles, and I guess now monsters, he does have a weapon. He's got a big ass gun that goes on his back, and he can shoot people. These were actually visible, which sometimes they're not, during battles shown during the cartoon, the G1 cartoon, when they showed these guys fighting the Technobots. Now, what's interesting in the cartoon about these guys, I'll tell this story quick as I transform him because it's so hard, into robot mode, is they didn't really have an origin. We know where the Technobots came from. Kind of like the Protectobots, they just kind of appeared. But initially, they seemed to be working for the Quintessons, which is kind of what the Predacons seem to be doing. I don't know if the Predacons were created by the Quintessons or not, but they were just kind of introduced. They didn't have an origin story. And later on, the Terrorcons, who were working for the Quintessons, were now working for Galvatron. So I don't know why. So he's got stubby little arms that don't do a lot. Obviously, you can't turn the head, and his legs are fake. There's not two of them, so you can't even spread them. So again, imagination is needed. He's got a gun that you can stick into his hand. It's a little tight, but it's a pretty impressive weapon. And yeah, there's not too much. The smaller guys don't have a lot of poseability like the main robot, but there you go, robot mode. You can't use the large gun in robot mode at all. Then again, you can't really use the small gun unless when you transform it into his beast mode, you kind of tuck it on the bottom, kinda, a little bit. It'd at least be a way of storing it. And, you know, you can shoot underneath. A little stiffness, the tail's a little loose, but not overly so I have no problems with Sinnertwin. Now we have Blot. Blot is an interesting monster. I don't know what kind of monster he's supposed to be. And if you had a ink blot shaped like him and you went, hey, Blot, they would be like, no, what does it resemble? And you'd be like, Blot. So there he is in all his weird monster glory. He's got these two big arms, which actually are pretty poseable. He's got elbow joints. They don't feel too loose or too stiff, which is nice. So he can grab you. He's got this kind of, I don't know if it's supposed to be a mouth, but this front part can move up and down a little bit. His legs can move a little bit back and forth. Overall, he's a weird monster. Now, you can, if you want to partially transform him, put his arms out to the side. Kind of looks like something now out of a, like Robotech, one of the small mechs, but he also has this weird weapon, which also has a mount that plugs into the back of his monster body. And you take his pistol, and it's got a hole on the side that you push onto that. Seems all right. And again, this was shown in the cartoon, so he was firing this in his monster mode. It was a monster mode. So let's transform him into his robot self. Now the mount you put aside, no real use for it. In his robot mode, head's a little stiff to come out. Sometimes if you're having trouble getting the head to flip up, you can take the gun and push. You can catch the head, flip it up. Just a little transformation shortcut. Got lots of kibble, so you can see the monster legs on the side of his robot legs, and you can see these arms, which I normally have pointed down. Some people like to point them to the sides. He's got two little stubby arms where you can actually stick his pistol in his fist, and it goes in there and it's nice and tight, so it's not gonna fall out. And while you can't turn the head, because his monster thing does this, you can actually have him look up a little bit, or he can nod a lot. So there he is in his robot mode. Not much to say about Blot. He's a blot of few words, but he's not an auto blot. The jokes get worse, I swear. All right, Cutthroat, who turns into a bird. Now, got these two legs that can be moved in different ways, so you can have him kind of balanced leaning forward. His bird mode, maybe up a little bit there. The balance is, you gotta feel for it. But there he is. He's standing, he's got these claws on his wings. His head can look down. Can't turn, but at least he can look down, look forward. The back legs move, the wings, it can kind of move them a little bit, but it kind of reveals the robot arms on the side, so you could have him do that, but it is revealing part of the transformation. Now his gun is interesting because this little piece of plastic here, it has a hinge on it, so you can make it longer, so you can stick it on his back while he's flying around. And as he's dive bombing, he can be shooting his gun. I mean, the nozzles are very close to his back, so I hope there's not a lot of scatter there and, cause some problems. And I suppose you could have him raise it a bit to fire in different directions. So it's a very interesting gun, which is actually his gun in robot mode. So let's get him in there. Again, the transformations on these guys are very simple. We pull down the bird head. It's got these little arms on the side. And again, he feels pretty quality. It's about what I would expect from a regular G1. And you can take the gun and shorten it, flipping it the other way, and then put it into his hand, which if you're not pointing it all the way forward, can't really easily raise it. But if you are, you can then stick it in his hand so he's pointing forward. So not a lot of mobility there. The arms move, obviously the legs don't, and the head doesn't turn, but not bad. Pretty much what I expect from a G1. And finally, we have Rippersnapper. Sounds like, some killer on the streets of London. He's like a land shark, and if you twist him around, he could be a Sharknado. All right, maybe not. But a very cool creature. Now, his weapon is this weird double-barreled thing. I don't know if it's supposed to launch missiles out that almost like a mortar maybe, so that he can... Yes, I make sound effects. They're not good sound effects, but they're sound effects. And it has a fin on the weapon, so it's kind of like part of him, because he's a shark. He's got these front claws that can rip, snap. Mouth does not open, but, I don't know how he eats. He's not a hero, he can eat. And, the back feet move a bit. Head is pretty stuck in a place in this mode. The tail can flip back and forth, but it's also part of the transformation. So, Rippersnapper. Tried to dive. I take that off. Now I did notice the head is a little stiff. Because it's a knockoff, I don't want to break it. But despite the stiffness, I am able to open it up and reveal his head. Swing back his monster arms to bring forward his robot arms. He's got really short arms. I mean, how do they scratch their ass? How do they wipe? Swing the monster legs back, swing in the tail, and there he is. Got a nice little white gun. Gray, kind of matches his, darkiness. And there he is, and you can move the arms up and down. And that's it. What do you want? I'll tell you exactly what you want. You want to see Abominus. So let's put these guys together. I am going to transform him in the classic way that's shown on the box. Rippersnapper and Blot as the arms, and Cutthroat and Sinnertwin as the legs. Now, while Abominus wasn't my favorite combiner, he was definitely up there because he was a very cool looking combiner. And as the years went by, combiners got better and better. I mean, I do like Devastator, but Bone Crusher's constantly falling off, and it's just, he could use better engineering. I actually at one point had a knockoff multicolored Constructicons, and it held together better than the official Hasbro product. I don't know if it was a pre-transformer thing, but definitely a quality knockoff. This so far is pretty much a quality knockoff, I have to say. Stiffness, a little bit of looseness in some areas, but overall, I'm liking the quality. Of course, the merging is the true test. And as I do with pretty much all the combiners, I leave the figures that go into the arms extended, so there's a little bit more arm length, but I compact the leg transformers. For the final piece, the chest piece. It's nice and tight. And there we have him. Yes, Abominus in all his glory, who was shaken apart by our dear friend Computron. Moving the arm seems pretty easy. I'm hoping that this isn't a sign that these are going to be really loose if I do this a lot. Not that I'm liable to do it a lot. Now, what's interesting about this particular combiner, because of how the legs are, you can actually spread the legs. That head came off. I have to say that doesn't hold in place as well as you might like. But when he's standing, it holds in well because of gravity. But you can have him kick, you can have him run, you can have him skip. But overall, if you want an Abominus and you don't want to pay huge prices for individual ones, and his head turns. Ooh, nice. If you don't want to spend time looking for the individual originals, though I mean, there is fun to be had in the hunt, obviously. But this is a good set if you don't want to go through all that, if you want to make sure that you have all the accessories and you can put on fresh stickers. I'm not sure what these are going for on eBay right now as far as G1 is concerned. He was $80.20 on AliExpress, and then they had some $8 coupon, which was cool. If you go on AliExpress, look for the coupons, because they're out there. And if you can save a couple bucks. And then with shipping, it ended up coming to like $76.28. Not a huge amount compared to buying him 100% complete in a box. If you're gonna buy a gift set box, those are pretty expensive. And again, hunting them down, this saves you a lot of time. And he's a great counterfeit. If you're just worried about something to show on a shelf, playability wise, he's got the playability for the most part. Just again, if you're too rough with at least one leg, it might pop off. But it seems to be holding pretty well right now. See, it didn't fall. So there you have the Abominus gift set. I hope you enjoyed this video. And again, I definitely recommend it. I'm putting a link to AliExpress down in the description. You can also find these on eBay. I'll put a link on there as well. Whatever you're most comfortable with as far as buying these Transformers where you have protection, definitely make sure that either with the credit card you use or if you use PayPal, you have some form of protection. I've not had a problem for the most part with AliExpress. I had one order where the seller, not AliExpress, was a bit of a jerk, but 99% of the orders that I've gotten from AliExpress, I haven't had a problem. They're not the fastest delivery, but then again, even the ones you buy on eBay, if you're getting them from China, aren't necessarily the fastest delivery either. So I'll put links in the description. Hopefully you'll be able to find similar deals and coupons. And while you're debating if you want to get this Quintessons puppet slash Galvatron's bitch. There's some other videos over here. Check those out. There's a subscribe button down there. Definitely give this a big ol' like so that other people who like Transformers might see this. That'd be cool. Do all the YouTube things and comment, please. I love comments. Comments are awesome. We'll see you next time. And as always, have fun and good hunting.